So all eyes now on former US President Donald Trump and his big announcement 9 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday. Now there are enough indications from the Trump camp that this big announcement, which he's been teasing for weeks, even before the results of the midterms became clear, this is going to be Trump officially announcing that he's going to run for president again in 2024. Now, the Trump camp has given enough indications that Donald Trump personally is very invested in rerunning for the presidential office, the highest office in the country, once again in 2024. But the problem is that the US midterms, which have just concluded, have given Trump and Trumpers a reality check. The fact of the matter is that Donald Trump may have endorsed more than 200 candidates across the House of Representatives, Senate, governorships. Many of these candidates also happen to be election deniers, folks who believed that the 2020 election, Joe Biden won by stealth. He did not win it legitimately, and that Donald Trump was the actual victor of the 2020 presidential election. This, of course, was a huge talking point in the US midterms. In fact, the Democrats said that this is the reason why democracy itself was on the ballot. And the fact still remains that in the 2022 midterms that recently concluded, many of these election deniers have gone on to lose. Many of these candidates were, of course, supported and endorsed by Donald Trump himself. This includes the likes of Kari Lake, who is a former television anchor who was running for the governorship in Arizona. At the time of this recording, Kari Lake was trailing her Democratic opponent, Katie Hobbs, by over 25,000 votes. And it's very unlikely that Kari Lake would win the governor's race in Arizona. In that state itself, Blake Masters was running for the Senate. He lost to Mark Kelly, his Democrat opponent, by over 100,000 votes. Again, Blake Masters was one person who was denying the 2020 result. In neighboring Nevada, Adam Laxalt, who was leading for quite a while against Catherine Cortez Masto, over the weekend, major U.S. networks declaring that race in favor of Catherine Cortez Masto as the winner in Nevada. Again, Laxalt was a state attorney general. He was one of the big and prominent election deniers of the 2020 result. And most famously, for the governor's race in Pennsylvania, Doug Mastriano, who ran for that race, he lost that governorship as well. So clearly, a large number of these Trumpers who were election deniers went on to lose. And remember, as far as the Democrats are concerned, this has been the best performance by an incumbent president, by an incumbent White House in the last 40 years. When Bill Clinton faced his midterms in 1994, he lost over 50 seats. Barack Obama, after his historic win in 2008, in 2010, in the Tea Party election, the midterms, the first midterms that he had to face, he lost over 60 seats and lost control of both chambers, both the House as well as the Senate. Right now, Joe Biden and the Democrats will keep the Senate after having won both Arizona and Nevada, the two outstanding states. They don't need the result of Georgia. Georgia, of course, goes to a runoff in December. Even if the Democrats lose in Georgia in that contest between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker, clearly the Democrats will retain control of the U.S. Senate. Even in the House of Representatives, it's been quite a few days since the U.S. midterms. In fact, it's going to be a week since the midterms election night. And yet, even now, the Republicans have not gained majority in the U.S. House of Representatives. At the time of this recording, it was 211 to the Republicans. They need 218 for a majority in the 435-member chamber, the House of Representatives. What was expected to be a giant red wave has hit a blue wall. So clearly, even the House of Representatives, which the Republicans will likely take, even there, the majority is not expected to be a widespread one. So all of this means one thing, that it will put pressure on Donald Trump. You're going to see a new U.S. House, a new speaker, likely who might want to break ranks with Donald Trump. The mainstream of the Republican Party is now coming out and openly, in fact, if you look at the Sunday shows that happened after the midterms, many mainstream Republicans have come forth and said that they need to break the shackles away from Donald Trump and that Donald Trump is beginning to be a liability for the Republican Party. If you were to look at Trump's general election races, post that victory in 2016 when he beat Hillary Clinton and became the president of the United States, all general elections or nationwide elections where Trump either was on the ballot or his presidency was being tested, whether it was the 2018 midterms, where he lost more than 40 seats in the House of Representatives, lost control of the Senate as well. Of course, he lost the 2020 presidential election, and now the 2022 midterms, which, like I said, was expected to be this giant red wave because the Democrats and Joe Biden were facing huge headwinds in the form of the Ukraine war, inflation, of course, the Federal Reserve raising interest rates, and a general sense of doom and gloom that the Democrats were not able to do much in terms of the first 2 years of Biden's time in office. So clearly, despite all of those headwinds, the fact that the Democrats will retain control of the Senate and will lose the House only by a narrow majority, that, of course, is a huge problem for Donald Trump, because now mainstream Republicans are coming out and saying that if Donald Trump is on the ticket or if he's endorsing candidates, that is becoming a liability in nationwide races or general elections. But here's the thing. As far as Donald Trump is concerned, within the Republican Party, in the primaries, he is still the candidate to beat. So one part or one reason as to why he's making this announcement on Tuesday and why this early, after all, the 24 re-election bid has got 2 more years to go, why is he making the announcement so early in the race, is to try and blow out the rest of the field. Now, who could potentially take on Donald Trump? The closest and most presumptive challenger to Donald Trump within the Republican Party would be the Florida governor, Ron DeSantis. He's, of course, won a very impressive election, won back the governorship of Florida, a huge victory for the Republicans. Florida used to be a swing state up until 10 years ago. Today, it is firmly red country, as it were. DeSantis, of course, is also far younger than Donald Trump is. And in a nationwide race, he would have far more appeal to the mainstream rather than to the fringes of the Republican Party. In fact, over the weekend, there was a YouGov poll which said that if there were to be a race between Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis for leadership of the Republican Party, DeSantis right now has a 7-point lead on Donald Trump. The problem, though, is the primaries. The problem is the base of the Republican Party. No one knows how to fire up the base of the Republican Party than Donald Trump does. And whoever is going to run against him, whether it's a DeSantis, whether it's a Marco Rubio, a Nikki Haley, Mike Pompeo, many people will want to throw their hat into the ring. Whoever that person is, he or she, will not be able to fire up the Republican base like the way Trump does. Also remember, Trump likes to wrestle with pigs, as he himself has famously said on many an occasion in the past. He will drag through all the other candidates through the mud, and particularly someone like DeSantis, who Trump has already railed and ranted against right after the midterms. He can expect the Trump treatment, as it were, if both men were to go up against each other in primaries. So that is the big mitigating factor, if you will, for Donald Trump, and that is the deterrent factor or the deterring factor for anyone who wishes to run against him in a primary, including Ron DeSantis. The question only is this, that how much more of the Republican establishment, the center, the heart of the Republican Party, how much more will they start distancing themselves from Donald Trump and Trump-endorsed candidates? Clearly, like I said, the fact that many of the election deniers, the Trump-endorsed candidates, whether it was for governorships or senators or even in the House of Representatives, have gone on to lose, that is a good sign for the establishment Republicans or the mainstream Republicans. So in the weeks ahead, even if Donald Trump were to make that announcement to run for president in 24, expect a challenge, expect a severe challenge from within the mainstream of the Republican Party, because like I said, Trump has become a liability even for the Republican establishment.